fine. So
yeah, it's something to keep your eye on when we get to rivals, and maybe mana gets a little bit better for blue green specifically, and you got to go from there.
All right, Mike, you're up.
Next up is Merfolk Branchwalker. We have this lovely explore mechanic that we've not really talked about too much, at least not this episode.
This is the best one.
Yeah, probably. It's a green and generic for a 2/1 Merfolk Scout. When it enters the battlefield, it explores. So it either becomes a 3/2, or you get a land out of it. So as a 2-drop in the Merfolk deck, it's pretty good. But I think as a 2-drop in certain just maybe green aggressive decks, it's probably just
it doesn't
fine.
even have to be in a Merfolk deck. This card is sweet. No, I love this card. I love the explore mechanic, and I wish there were more cards that were playable. But as we discussed last week, they're very, very careful with the stats that they put on the creatures. Because it's very easy for it to be just above the curve. Even like hitting a non-land here, making it a 2-mana 3/2 that kind of lets you scry. It's a pretty good deal. Or if you do hit the land, then it's essentially 2-mana 2/1 that draws you a card. Still pretty good. So yeah, I like this card a lot. I guess we'll have to wait and see where it fits. It is a Merfolk, so if there is a Merfolk deck, it probably goes in there. But I don't think it necessarily needs to be in a Merfolk strategy. Unlike the last card we talked about, that Communist Speaker, which requires you to have other Merfolks or islands. This is just a good card on its own. So.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to make an executive decision here. I'm going to talk about this card for 2 seconds, but this isn't my real card because I want to talk about the next card. Old Growth Dryads. Costs a single green, 3/3. Man, that's a good deal.
So great.
When it enters the battlefield, each opponent may search his or her library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle his or her library.
Seems real bad.
That's bad.
That's not good.
When I first saw this card, I thought it was both players got to do it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. It's just your opponent. Oh, that's not good.
No, don't play this card.
No.
Yeah, I agree. This card's bad. Moving on.
I'm
not kidding. Like you said, you want 2 seconds. You gave it more than 2 seconds.
That's it.
So,
Ranging Raptors. That's the next one, right?
Yeah. Finally.
Yeah. Ranging Raptors. Yeah, we've talked about this card. We haven't actually talked about it yet.
Yeah.
We've mentioned it. Ranging Raptors is 2 and a green, 2/3 dinosaur. Has an Enrage ability. Whenever it is dealt damage, you may search the library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. I love this card. This card is sweet.
I like this card a lot. I know some people have been kind of mixed on it. It depends on what you want your dinosaur deck to do, and if you're attacking, this card does feel a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
But you do get some real value out of it. Like I said, this is the beautiful dinosaur to go Drover on turn 2, this on turn 3, Savage Stomp your guy, get a guy, so that you can play your Regisaur Alpha or your Carnage Tyrant. Like it feels real good. So, but there are also times where you just play this 2/3 and you paid 3 mana for it to die, and especially if it didn't cost them a card, like they just have bigger creatures, then you paid 3 mana for a Rampant Growth that you didn't get to control the timing of, and that it doesn't feel great. So I do think this card is good, but I worry about its place because it is the classic mid-range card. When it's on curve and helps you catch your threats early, oh man, it's going to feel great. When you're desperately looking for something good off the top and you draw this card, you're going to vomit a little bit in your mouth.
I do like that, the way that the format's shaping up, it seems like most of the removal that you're going to see is going to be red-based, so you're going to have your Lightning Strikes, Upbraids, even Chandra or Harness Lightning, stuff like that. So at the very worst, if you're playing this against mono red, we talked about cards that you would want against mono red specifically. This one comes down, it's a decent blocker. If they do remove it, it's not the end of the world. You get to ramp and then maybe cast something bigger on the next turn. So
sure, and that's the dream. Yeah. Sometimes you don't have the bigger thing to cast, and this is an average creature. So I think it's going to be hot and cold, but I think overall it's good. I'm excited to have it.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Ripjaw Raptor. The reason you're playing dinosaurs, let's be honest. 2 generic green for a 4/5 creature dinosaur. Enrage, whenever it's dealt damage, you draw a card. This is great. This is a 4-mana 4/5, which means it doesn't get killed by Glorybringer. there's a bunch of removal that it dodges in general. It can still get fatal push in awkward situations, so be careful with that. But it's also pretty easy for it to trigger Enrage and live. And that's a big deal. This is the push dinosaur. Like, obviously Regisaur Alpha we'll talk about a little bit is good. Carnage Tyrant is obviously a great mythic, but you can play it anywhere. But this is the card that says play dinosaurs, play the Enrage mechanic. Play Ryle, play fight cards like Pounce and Savage Stomp, play Walking Ballista with me, play these with me, play Sam the Tested, and I'm not kidding, Sam the Tested may actually see play because of dinosaurs. So
he just pisses him off enough to get you a little bit of value.
So like Samet, she'd never planeswalk before because she got her spark on Amonkhet. So the first way she goes Ixalan, and she's just there taunting dinosaurs. Hey, poke, stop it!
I mean, I don't have too much to add. I mean, I think this card's great.
Again, this is just like a 4-mana 4/5 with all upside.
Like, this is the card. Like, if you're worried that mono red is going to dominate the format, and I think that's a valid thing to think about. I mean, I think mono red didn't really lose a whole lot, and it was already probably the best deck.
Gained a card.
Right. Gained a card, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's about the same. But this is a card, like, you play this against red, and they're just like, can't really attack into it, can't really burn it, like, they're just put in a really tough spot with that. Unless they have, like, an on-crom crasher or something like that on the spot to make it not block, then it's going to be tough. So,
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, big payoff for dinosaurs, though.
Absolutely.
Next card, Savage Stomp, right?
Yes, which I've referred to a couple of times.
Yeah. So, in case you're wondering what this card does, it's a sorcery for 2 generic and a green. Costs 2 less to cast if it targets a dinosaur you control. And what it does is you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then that creature fights target creature you don't control. So yeah, I mean, in the dinosaur deck, which, let's be honest here, you're not going to play this outside of a dinosaur deck. I mean, 3 mana for this is not
right,
good.
It's not exactly great. I mean, it's better than Hunt the Weak, which is the sort of standard for this, right?
Yeah. But, 1 mana is like way below the curve for this ability.
Is, especially when you have the mana guys and the cost reduction for dinosaurs, it allows you to really gain some tempo off this, cast it in an turn. This card is going to be devastating in Dinosaur Mirrors. Whoever gets to play theirs on their Ripjaw Raptor first,
right,
it's going to be so important.
Whoever gets to stomp a yard first will frequently be the victor.
So cool to see them do this to give essentially prey upon that fight mechanic and make it kind of relevant, because it's not something that's in standard very often. Like Dramoka's Command is one of the few times we've had fight be relevant in standard.
When it was an instant and did 3 other things.
Yeah, when it was the best card in standard, that one.
Yep.
So next up we have Shaper's Sanctuary. This is a 1 green for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control becomes a target of spell or an ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. So this is our what's his name? The card from Conspiracy.
Leovold.
Leovold of Trest there, right? That guy's ability is stapled onto an enchantment. Pretty powerful. I'm going to say more than likely a sideboard card.
Yes.
But a pretty powerful sideboard card. It negates a lot of interesting things. In testing, definitely had this card played against me while I had a Gideon of the Trials in play. Guess what you don't want to do with Gideon anymore with these cards in play?
Yeah, so what suddenly feels like lackluster, maybe targeting your opponent's creatures with an ability.
Taking up.
I've even seen people talk about putting this in like affinity sideboards, because like affinity is a 5-color deck when it really wants to be.
So maybe what playing a Mox lets you do.
Yeah, crazy. And this is definitely something that is probably pretty good when your opponent is just trying to kill your things. You're like, cool, well, you did that, but I get to draw a card, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely something that could see play in modern, elves or something like that.
Yeah, that as well.
Yeah, you need to play in a deck that has just a lot of interchangeable threats. You want a lot of creatures. You don't really care what the creatures themselves are. This is not the kind of thing you play in, like that card. I know that people want to play that card with like Deep Root Champion. Probably not the deck for it. if you only have X amount of threats you want to protect, this doesn't protect them. But if you're just cool with having a bunch of cards, and I will say, these stack.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Something to remember, you can have multiples of this enchantment in play, and then that's just dirty. So,
all right, we have one more green card.
Yeah.
So this is the flip green card, Growing Rights of Ixalan-a-PALOOZA. Costs 2 and a green, legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Then it has, at the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures, transform Growing Rights of Ixalan-a-PALOOZA. Interesting to know that it is not a May ability. And it turns into Ixalan-a-PALOOZA, Cradle of the Sun, which is a legendary land. Taps for a green, and then also taps for add a green to your mana pool for each creature you control. So the Guy's Cradle ability. This card is pretty sweet, and I was actually kind of surprised that they printed this when I first saw this card. Now, seeing kind of the whole set, I've kind of walked back on that a little bit. I still think it's a sweet card for sure. The only issue with this is, you are going to need some kind of other payoff. Like, a lot of these flip cards are payoffs in themselves. Once they flip into the land, we talk about the blasting cannons, which getting, a lightning bolt on a stick, that's pretty good. This one, you add a lot of mana. Pretty good, but you need something to do with it.
Yeah, you gotta have that payoff.
I think Walking Bliss is an
we
obvious.
have some cards we can
that's an obvious mana sink. This card we'll talk about in a little bit that is a pretty good mana sink in a green deck. So I think right now it's not clear on how this fits into the format, but I think it's like a very powerful card.
It certainly is. I also really appreciate that the art on the cradle portion of this is just a screenshot from Jurassic Park when the kids pet the brontosaurus and they sneeze on her.
Yeah, after they survive the Jeep and stuff like that, and the little kid said he threw up.
Yeah.
I remember that part.
The Vegisauruses, because she was afraid, and it's like, Vegisaurus, they don't eat you. Yeah. They'll sneeze on you, though.
Yeah, they do. That does happen.
God bless you.
That's a great movie.
Really.
Do you guys want to stop and just watch Jurassic Park? I do.
So what I need you to do, because we're going to go watch it. It's not a joke. But I just need you to put in like a timer right here, just like a do, and then we come back.
No, we can't do that. That's ridiculous. It's Tuesday night. This card, it's like cool to see. And like, it does, like the front half of it though feels like a pretty big bummer as far as that is concerned.
At least it does something.
It does do something, but it feels like all the other ones like do something more.
Yeah, but I don't know if you've seen Cradle before, but it needed to have some kind of hoop. It needed to be pulled back a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
All the other lands are fairly easy to flip. They don't do what potentially Cradle can do on the back.
I guess, but I feel like Cradle needs a certain
je ne sais toi.
But obviously Cradle's good in elves, but elves you're just playing a bunch of like 1-mana creatures that can obviously hit the board really quickly, but we don't have that in standard. Now we do have it in other formats, and that's maybe what it's balanced for, but in standard specifically, like that feels pretty underwhelming. And then in modern, for the most part, it does definitely feel like a win more card. So
I mean, maybe in modern at least you have
the payoff.
Yeah, you have the payoff immediately. You have things you can do with it, like pump your elves a million times. So
yeah,
but we just missed it with like all the Eldrazi Scions and like Nissa, the 3-mana Nissa, like with making plant tokens.
Yeah, I would have been down the clown, but we don't have that.
The thing is, like with this card, it doesn't take much to make this card pretty busted. So like this is a card that's like. Just like, even if it's not good right away, and if it doesn't have a home right away, this is one that's like, okay, when the next set comes out, we need to reevaluate because this card could be busted at any time.
You know what really would have been busted with this card?
Ghosts?
Probably. But green black sacrifice deck like that. That was
Oh my gosh, the Cryptolithrite deck.
yes, Cryptolithrite deck would have been sweet.
Oh my gosh, this card
Ormondal.
with Duskwatch Recruiter.
Yes,
Oh, I got a little faint.
exactly.
All right, see, this is why we need Shadows to stay here for a little bit.
So you-
Dave, thank you for immediately going. Like, Dave and I both went to church. We're just like,
yeah. So just think about how easily, like, obviously, like this card would have been amazing.
Yeah, it would have been nuts though.
And you even had like the vizier, if like you had the vizier of the menagerie, and like, oh man,
Again, it doesn't take much.
We've clearly like nearly instantly constructed a situation that was almost like was a recent standard that would have been busted in. But I think like
It
once
would
they
have been cool
have
if we could have had, the Shadows block without Battle of Zendikar once.
but I do think that they know that this isn't standard, so if it's gonna get broken, it probably won't be until like it's
Right at
like
the end?
yeah, right at the end,
Yeah.
right when it's about to leave. So we'll see.
So-
It's on a watch list for sure.
Green got cool stuff though. Dinosaurs, obviously the hallmark, and more than likely would be a constructed force.
Yeah, like I really think you could talk about red green in like the same breath and be like, yeah, dinosaurs.
Yeah,
Like,
dinosaurs.
That is when you look at it, that's the tribe that they pushed.
Yeah,
And it feels like the tribe they want to see in the standard, and it makes sense. Like that's the big flashy thing. Like pirates are cool, but like dinosaurs are like dinosaurs.
Yeah,
So.
there's people wanted to be pirates when they were kids, and like, but dinosaurs appeals to that 4-year-old. Right, it's inside every single person.
Yeah,
It's
or
like, dinosaurs,
Or like the 30-year-old that a lot of Magic players are. That's what Jurassic Park like 9 times in the movie theater. So
I saw the drive-in too.
yeah, that sounds great.
God bless you.
But yeah.
All right, move to gold.
Yeah, gold.
Home stretch, guys.
Gold's our last section. Oh man, doing these in 2
home stretch.
shows.
It's not 2 a.m.
Yeah, doing these in 2 shows, great idea.
So let's start with Admiral Beckett Brass. And can I just say, before I say anything else about Admiral Beckett Brass, kudos to the artist here, Jason Rainville. I saw on Twitter, he said that he'd been trying to get his mom onto a Magic card for a while, and he finally did it.
Yeah, she's an admiral.
So she's an admiral. That's just awesome. Just like, oh, you need this person to be an admiral? All right, I got it. Anyways, this is a generic, a blue, a black, and a red for a 3/3 legendary creature, human pirate. Other pirates you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your end step, gain control of target non-land permanent controlled by a player who has dealt combat damage by 3 or more pirates this turn. So, and as the art depicts, she is standing on a ship that seems to have been acquired by her pirates and is hers now. This card is nifty and flavorful and will be a great EDH, like a commander staple, like a commander. This is not a constructed playable card, in my opinion. If like that trigger, like the +1/+1 for pirates is fine, but you have to have 3 colors to cast this for a 3/3 that does nothing otherwise. And that trigger, what deck are you attacking with 3 pirates and they're all dealing damage where you're not already winning that game?
So you're dealing like at least like 6 to them.
Yeah, at least 6 damage to them. And what? What are you going to take from them? Oh, cool. I'll take
Probably their
I'll take-
dignity,
I'll
more
take
than likely.
Arrgh. I walk the plank. I don't know what you want to say here. So yeah, I think this is the definition of win more for pirates, and just tough to cast. I don't know if pirates are obviously in Grixis colors, but I don't know if a pirates deck is a Grixis deck.
It seems like it's going to be either blue black or black red.
Right. So sorry, Admiral Beckett Brass. No matter how sweet that art is, I don't see it doing anything.
Yeah, probably not. All right, next card, Call to the Feast. So it costs 2 white black sorcery. It says create 3 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink. So 3 dudes.
Yeah, three dudes.
3 dudes.
3 dudes. 3 pretty good dudes though, lifelinking dudes. So
Yeah, it's no spectral procession, but
with Anointed Procession, it's 6 dudes. They're just saying.
now we're getting somewhere.
So-
No, I don't know about this one for constructed. I'm kind of excited about it for cube, but that's different. Most people don't care about that, but yeah, I don't know. If
Yeah,
there's a vampire deck like in black white, like maybe it'll want
I think that deck needs to show me that it can do something more with tokens than just make the tokens. Now, of course,
Yeah.
there are some payoff cards. There's the Hellrider we talked about. Where having 3 guys is pretty good. And then there's the 5 mana one that has just the life loss trigger for how many vampires you control. And curving this into that it is significant. So, but I think I just need to see more that these 1/1s can do. If there were some better vehicles for them to crew, maybe. In limited, you have the schooner, the 4-3 that crews for 1. That's what tokens are good at doing. So I just need to see the tokens be able to do more. And like I said, this probably means they need some kind of anthem, which I know, Morgan, you were scared of when I talked about this. But until we see something that these can do, this card is probably fringe playable. But I don't think it would take a lot to make this card actively very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Next up, we have Dire Fleet Captain. This is a red and a black for a 2/2 Orc Pirate. Whenever it attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each other attacking pirate. Now, this pirate feels a lot closer to me as far as like a payoff pirate that you would want to play in Constructed. 2/2 for 2 isn't amazing, but it isn't hard to make this attack as a 3/3, a 4/4. Yeah, and really start churning through.
I do want to note that the flavor text on this card is definitely amongst some of the better ones in this set, too.
Orcs are happiest under captains who steer toward battle. Orcs of the Dire Fleet are downright jovial.
I like this card. If there is an aggressive pirate deck, that this is something that I think would be where it would want to be at is having this guy. And I think the deck list that I looked at today was playing like things like Planetary Storm to find ways to generate artifacts for unlicensed disintegration.
Okay, and that's interesting.
Which is a good angle to really like what are some of your payoffs for these treasures? Well, it might be this card that is similar to Searing Blaze that we also kind of gave a nod to earlier in the show. So
I still think even then though, like I know PNLR is not a pirate, but it makes a Thopter that gets to attack evasion. I don't know.
But again, if you're trying to play, pirates,
that is fair.
Then that's where you're going to be looking at. So I do like this card, and if you are playing that deck, it's not very hard to get it consistently attacking as a 3/3/4/4, what have you. But I don't know, like. Again, is like Redback Pirates better than Mono Red? Probably.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Probably not.
But if you're going to try it, this card probably has a home.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Next card.
Just
Gishoth?
I was going to say, just say it like you'd say a Klingon name.
Is it
Gishoth?
Is that Gishoth? Sun's Avatar?
Gishoth.
All right, so
Keep
anonymous.
Thanks.
That's good.
Crappy Adam Sandler movies.
This card costs 8 mana, so the payoff better be worth it. So it's 5 red, green, white for a 7/6 legendary creature dinosaur avatar. Has trample, vigilance, and haste. Pretty good abilities.
Weird how that works.
And it has whenever Gishoth, Sun's Avatar, deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library, put any number of dinosaur creature cards from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, pretty good. I don't know if the dinosaur decks are going to want to go all the way up to 8, but if that's a thing, then...
The ramp decks went all the way to 11.
Yeah,
it was actually 10, but I had to make the joke.
Yeah, no.
I mean, this thing's kind of terrifying, though. This hits you, even if they just get one dinosaur, that's pretty good. And if you hit multiples, that's pretty absurd.
This 8 mana 3-color legendary dinosaur trades with Carnage Tyrant. I need you to understand that on the scale of dinosaurs, it is not great. Now, what it does and having haste is important, and this could certainly be the payoff to certain types of decks, but I don't see it.
I'm going to say, probably not. But it's not like outside of the realm of possibility.
Sure. I hate to use the dies to removal argument because obviously it dodges a lot of removal. But again, compared to Carnage Tyrant, it literally doesn't die to removal at all. So I don't know. I do like the art on it, though it is awkward that he has a target on his chest. If you're shooting for Gishath, I don't know. We can't figure this out. But if you're shooting for him, aim for the target.
Well, maybe that's like trying to throw him off. It's like actually, it doesn't hurt when you hit me here, but I want you to
near my butt.
Yeah, I want you to shoot me.
Fun fact. Shout out to my sealed deck opponent that had both this card and Carnage Tyrant in their sealed deck,
and you get to put Carnage Tyrant in play. Oh man, GG. Next up is Hostage Taker. Taker. The errata card. This is 2 generic for a blue and a black, 2/3 human pirate. When Hostage Taker enters the battlefield, exile target Exile target artifact or another creature until Hostage Taker leaves the battlefield. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were a mana of any type to cast that spell.
Yeah. To be fair, taking yourself hostage, really weird.
It worked in Blazing Saddles. The best part is I definitely got to quote Robin Hood Men in Tights to make that line, and that's man, I'm going to give myself a Laurel and Hearty handshake.
That's good. That's good. Solid.
So we've already seen cards like I'm going to forget his name. What's the black creature that sees play, the 2/3?
Gonti. Lord of Luxury.
We've seen Gonti see play, but Gonti, you don't get the card back if Gonti dies. You get to still cast it if you want to. I have a hard time thinking a 4-mana Fiend Hunter is very good. Obviously, getting to cast it for any color mana is great if you get to tap and do that. But those cards have been so shaky. We've had Fairgrounds Warden in Standard for a long time now, and it's done nothing. So is the reason it's doing nothing is just because you can't cast the card underneath it? Or is it because it's a really, really easy egg to crack? You know what I mean? I don't know which is the right answer. The card's obviously powerful, but this isn't the kind of card that excites me as much as others do. I am probably too scared to try and do this to people.
I'm a fan of this card, just not necessarily for like the format or anything, but just as a card. I just love the card.
Okay, I agree with that. It's a cool card.
It's like sweet flavor to it. I even like the artwork on this. So I don't know. Like
Battle Box? Too good for Battle Box?
Oh, this card's really good in Battle Box. You're insane to put this in Battle Box.
Okay, fair enough. I had to add it to the list. I just wanted your thoughts.
It's a cool card, and like I want there to be ways to play it. But it feels really good in Battle Box.
All right, fair enough.
I think this is a fantastic card just for regular cubes.
Yeah.
I can't put it in my cubes.
You know what?
If I did have a rare cube, I would.
Yeah, you could errata it.
It's not a card that I'm probably going to be playing in Standard more than likely. Like, to be fair, it is a card that could go in like something like Team Rhymer Energy. You know, you're already moving into black a lot in that deck anyway, and I think this card has the potential to be surprising. There are a lot of people that are definitely like excited about it, and a lot of people that play a lot of Magic are definitely
sure.
Extolling its
I'm not
upside. So
yeah, I agree with you. I'm not down on this card. I think I'm too chicken to play this card.
Sure.
No, I mean, I see it as like a tempo card. Like if you're playing blue-black pirates and you just want to be attacking, this is a way that you can clear a blocker out of the way. And even if they kill the hostage taker on their next turn or whatever, you still got in that attack. And you made them have to deal with it. And if they don't deal with it, then you get to cast their card, and you're just building out your board even more. So, I don't know. I think this card is pretty good. And I just think it's a sweet card as well. You know what I mean?
No, I love the design. I agree. It is just a sweet card.
Yeah.
All right.
Huatli.
David, it's you.
Is it me?
I just did Hostage Taker, but...
Oh. So I wish I had Hostage Taker and you had Huatli, because I know you like this card. All right. Huatli, Warrior Poet, is 3 red and a white. It's a legendary planeswalker, Huatli. She enters battlefield with 3 loyalty. Has a +2 of you gain life equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. It's a 0 ability of create a 3/3 green dinosaur creature or token with trample. And a -X of Huatli, Warrior Poet deals X damage, divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. Creatures dealt damage this way can't block this turn. I have no idea how good this card is in Standard. I think it has potential, but I haven't played with it.
I think it has potential too. I think Lightning Strike obviously hurts a 5-mana planeswalker that comes in for 3 loyalty, but its 0 is very, very good. Its +2 is whatever. Its -, can win games. It's going to be, you're going to have to evaluate it based on the format. I wouldn't play it week 1, but it could certainly, the format could shake out where this card is actively pretty good.
Yeah,
so
potentially. I think it being red-white is what hurts it.
And that's very possible, though. There's a lot of even control decks that could easily, especially with things like Ether Hub, it's not that hard to cast a singleton card off another color. So, but it certainly also could be an issue for it.
Yeah.
So, I hope it's good.
It feels like you want like a red-white deck for it. Like it doesn't feel like a card you want to splash.
Maybe. I don't know if that's automatically true.
I don't know. It just doesn't feel like Scarab God. Like that's a card you want to reach out and like splash. It's powerful on its own. Like it does mess up things to a board pretty much consistently every time it hits
you
at
have
5
to
mana.
be able to keep making whatever your splash color is all the time, though. It isn't, Ether Hub, you could just use it for a white once, and if you're out of energy, you're out of energy.
Well, yeah, but even when you're looking at Team Energy, like they've gone 4 colors. They are playing ways to continue to consistently be able to do that as well. But I mean, like I don't feel like I'm drawn to like want to splash that in like a green red dinosaur deck.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like I just isn't like there's other like just solid red planeswalkers like Chandra. Like you can just play Chandra and still have something like it's not the same thing, but it's still
Samut.
you can just play Salmon.
Talked about this.
Theoretically, like if you really wanted to, and it probably is better with your dinosaurs in all honesty. So
maybe, I mean, it doesn't. Salmon is better with your dinosaurs, but doesn't make dinosaurs.
No, but it just makes your dinosaurs better. Kind of. Some of your dinosaurs better. I mean, it always gives them like what. Double strike.
Yes, it does.
Man. There's one thing I really don't want to see in this format, but I know that I will, is going to be a double strike and Carnage Tyrant. Oh boy. Everyone get excited to die.
Get hype. Next up is Regisaur Alpha. This is 3 generic red-green for a 4/4 dinosaur. Other dinosaurs you control have haste. What?
Sorry. We finished reading the card.
Okay. When it enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token with trample. Go ahead.
This is a good card. This card has Regis in its name, so now I'm just imagining Regis Philbin's face on the dinosaur. Sorry.
Ah!
Yeah, exactly. Please, someone alter that. Please.
Oh, man. Regisaur Alpha comes out and says, and here comes my co-host! Kathy Griffin's a 3/3 token. Wow. This card is obviously good.
Kathy Lee.
You
said Kathy Griffin.
No, not her.
Kathy Lee Gifford / Kathy Lee.
My bad. I'm sorry about that, everybody. It's pretty funny, though.
Yeah, no.
Anyways, this is a 7/7 essentially for 5. Spread across 2 bodies. Giving haste to the token is great. People have been comparing this, obviously. It meshes in with slots like Glorybringer. Glorybringer can definitely deal with creatures, but this is the kind of card where, like, if you were playing against a control deck, they have to have 2 cards essentially to deal with it, which is nice. And obviously, the we talked about before with the 1/2 red guy, that haste is kind of powerful, and if you get to cast Carnage Tyrant after this, then this card's obviously very good and very strong. So, Ripjaw Raptor and Regisaur Alpha here are probably. I had to say Regisaur this time because I can't say Regisaur because I can't.
Just call him Reggie.
Reggie.
I like Reggie.
Reggie Alf. So the Alpha D over here, he's probably in conjunction there, and it's obviously very good. So, this is the heart of your Dino deck instead of with Ripjaw Raptor.
Yeah. And as we stated previously, the heart is near the butt.
Got him.
Is that where dinosaur hearts are?
We've decided.
That's where they are on Ixalan. All right.
Okay.
That's why, because the avatar had the heart, had the target on its chest. As again we said, it was a decoy.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, get me here.
Yeah.
Ah, you thought it was my heart.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Gotcha.
It was my butt.
Never thought. Go there. Okay. Next card. Tishana, Voice of Thunder. Costs 5 green-blue for a legendary creature, Merfolk Shaman. It's a star. Power and toughness, each equal to the number of cards in your hand. You also have no maximum hand size. And when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card for each creature you control. I think this card, maybe it's not deceptively, but I think it's deceptively powerful. I don't know.
I think it's certainly powerful, but this is not the kind of card I want to ever be casting in Standard. People have been like, oh man, Prime Speaker Zagana's back. Nope. No, she's not. By the way, Garth Brooks is the
was
voice
different.
of Thunder.
Well, Zagana, you drew cards equal to the highest power.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a little different, right? This is like, what was that card that was in Standard? The green creature that you draw cards equal to the creatures. The number of green creatures?
Garrick did that before.
No.
Primal Hunter.
No, Primal Hunter.
It was like
power.
an elf. There was like an elf ball
okay.
deck that was in Standard for a brief period of time.
Oh, that was just Genesis Wave of the Elf Ball deck, though.
I think it was in that deck too. I don't know.
I don't
can't think of
know.
the name of it. But anyway, it's a powerful ability. Like if you have a deck that is going wide, or even if it doesn't necessarily have to be Merfolk, but it can be Merfolk. Like if you're just building out a board, this is something that you can sink mana into. So if you do have the cradle going,
this is the payoff for the cradle. For sure.
But this card is like unbelievable if you cast this, and you have like any board presence at all.
Yeah, but if you have any board presence at all to make this card incredible, then what's going on in this game? Like I don't
you're
understand.
Just casting a bunch of small creatures, and you cast this, and you draw 1,000,000, and then you just win.
A million what? 1,000,000 more small creatures that already couldn't win the game. I get it. It is obviously powerful, but this one feels so shaky to me. If you have 2 or 3 creatures in play, then you now have a 3/3 or a 4/4 and a couple extra cards in your hand. But you paid 7 mana to do it, and you put this very bad card most of the time in your deck. Or you have 10 creatures in play and you drew 10 cards, and that's great, you're living the dream, but for some reason, the 10 creatures you had in play couldn't kill your opponent. Like, I don't know what... I don't know. Maybe it's good enough.
I'm thinking of this more of like a combo card. I don't know. I'm dying to know what that other card is I'm thinking of. What is it? Regal Force. That card.
Okay.
It was also 7 mana.
Sure.
It's busted.
It was busted, but again, like you don't have
Regal Force was busted with actual Cradle though, and Elves, and like an Elves. It's played in Legacy Elves.
Yeah,
it
you just don't have
standard.
a critical amount of like
What
tiny
was it
dudes.
standard? Besides when it was originally printed, because the Elf Ball deck you're talking about, I do not think that card was in it. You just looked up the card. When was it legal?
They showed the stupid Eternal Masters one. I don't know.
Yeah, there tells you sets.
Does it?
If you
I'm
ask
looking at
to.
it on Mythic Spoiler.
No, that doesn't tell you sets. Gather will tell you sets. So.
Hold on.
Anyway,
I know this is really great audio.
Good radio.
I obviously know that there was an elf deck that are you talking about the elf deck that LSV played?
It was literally in Eventide and then Eternal Master. So it has not been in Standard when that Elf Ball deck was in Standard. Not the most recent one.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Anyway, but Regal Force is a powerful card.
Yes.
And I think
in Legacy.
Ixalan-a. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
Okay. I don't disagree. The card's powerful. I have a hard time constructing a board state where you weren't already winning that game, where this draws you a relevant amount of cards at 7 mana.
Well, if you had a bunch of dorks that don't do anything.
But at 7 mana, couldn't you just cast a spell that just lets you draw 7 cards? Like, that card's literally now in Standard at the same time this is in Standard.
This does that,
So,
but it's also like
so
a
Dave,
million.
Are you talking about like Grape Shot Elves from 2008 PT Berlin? Extended?
No, he's talking about pretty recent. Within the last couple of years, we had an Elf Ball deck.
Oh,
it was right at the end of a
It was a Genesis
format.
Wave deck.
Yeah, it was a Genesis Wave deck.
Yeah, but it did have Regal Force in it.
No, of course it didn't. He has no idea what he was talking about.
Oh, okay.
There's a card.
There was something similar to that.
There's
though,
a creature. There was like a 6/6 creature that would, because it was the opposite of the black one, where I think it was an Avacyn Restored. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think it might have been Standard legal like right now too, because it's
6/6
supplemental
trample
material.
thing. Yeah. Hey, actually, that card is legal right now, man. We're just going off with.
Oh no, it won't be. I don't think with rotation, but
oh yeah. Anyway,
okay.
we'll stick to the card. I think it's a sweet card.
The card is sweet, but I don't see it being a player in Standard. It also feels so weird to be this legendary Merfolk that I guess the Merfolk want to swarm. I don't know what Merfolk want to do. They seem so bad.
But you don't necessarily have to play it in a Merfolk deck, though.
No, I'm saying it feels very disconnected from. Look at the rare dinosaur and mythic dinosaur, and look at maybe the mythic pirate is a little disconnected. But we're going to talk about this mythic vampire that feels perfect to what the vampire deck is doing. So I don't know. Let's talk about Vona, Butcher of Megan. I think it's Magan or Magan. I don't know. 3 generic white-black for a 4/4 legendary creature vampire knight. It has vigilance and lifelink. Then you could tap it to pay 7 life, destroy target non-land permanent, activate this ability only during your turn. That's a pretty devastating ability on a creature that has lifelink and vigilance, because that means you can declare it as an attacker and then kill the creature that might have blocked it profitably while it's still attacking, and then gain 4 of that life back. So it's just pretty sweet. It's certainly awkward in a format where Glorybringer is still going to be very good.
Yeah.
Because if you're on the wrong side of the Glorybringer, then this card is not great. If you ever get to kill a Glorybringer with this, I guess you're doing good. But the stats on this card make me feel like it is a bit of a player. And I will definitely say this card also may have a home in a Godfarrow's Gift build. giving this haste out of the graveyard. Oh yeah, I just watched what Dave's eyes did. I was like, oh, it's like yeah, yeah, pretty good. So
yeah, I like this card a lot. I think it's a sweet design. It does have some awkward interactions with the format, though. Like you said, like Glorybringer, like Chandra comes down and kills it. Like, it's got some awkward stats on it, but I do think that it's a cool card. Ultimately, we'll have to wait and see how it fits into the format, but it doesn't look promising. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that is fair.
But I do like it. All right.
Last card, buddy.
Last card of the Palooza. Vraska, Relic Seeker. So 4 black-green for a legendary Vraska. 6 loyalty. She has a +2 of create a 2/2 black pirate creature token with menace. A -3 of destroy target artifact, creature, or enchantment. Then you create a colorless treasure artifact token. And it has a -10 of target player's life total becomes 1.
The loneliest number.
Yeah. That's like, what's that ability in like Final Fantasy games where like they hit you and then you're at 1?
I don't think it's a specific
It's
thing.
something called like second chances. Normally is like a
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
yeah.
They're the
It's an ability in Kingdom Hearts.
in Pokemon, it's called False Swipe.
there you
Or there are various other ones, but False Swipe is probably the most popular one. And that's how you catch Pokemon. Because it brings it down to 1, and then they're real easy to get.
Anyway, yeah, if you Ultimate Vraska, you're probably gonna win.
Yeah, if you minus Nebraska, you've done False Swipe to your opponent, and then they're real easy to catch.
You catch them. Yeah, I think this is a sweet card. I didn't really think much of this when I first saw it, but I guess people have been brewing with this card and it's doing work. I don't know.
I hope so. I like this card a lot.
I haven't tested this.
I've had some people say that
Played it
feels,
and sealed it. It's really good.
Yeah.
that it feels like Elspeth, and that's 6-mana Elspeth. Obviously, 6-mana Elspeth made more
Sign me
tokens, but
It's kind of high praise.
it really is.
Yep.
Its ultimate wins the game. It really does. Like if you take up twice to make pirates and you put them at 1, they better have a lot of blockers. Or you can just play it with a bunch of Sunscorched Deserts. Ultimate it, play my land, trigger. But honestly, the -3 hits a lot of really tricky permanents. Hitting artifacts and enchantments means that you can deal with the legendary enchantments that are popular. You can still deal with some of the artifacts that are running around from the previous blocks. And obviously deal with a creature and ramp you a little bit, which is weird because you're already playing a 6-drop, but Treasure's nice.
Yeah, I mean, so treasure is really, really nice with Fatal Push. And that is something.
You can sack it for black.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it's real good. So that is something to really keep in mind that, obviously this being a green-black planeswalker and Fatal Push, like, being a pretty, like, swingy card in Standard a lot of the time, but, like, being able to, like, consistently make treasure via, various means, this being one of them, does change, like, the landscape of that card and make it more in line with how it is played in Modern, which I think is pretty enticing. But I want this card to be good because I think this card's sweet, and I just want to play it in like my sideboard.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So, but it feels like we've seen some like pretty dumpy like 6-mana planeswalkers, but this one feels just right. It does feel close to like maybe not the same power level, but the same like design feel as far as like you're getting what you pay for. You don't feel like cheated in any way, shape, or form, and it also doesn't feel like obscenely powerful.
I mean, like, going from 6 to 8 loyalty, like if you go +2,
Yeah,
turn comes down, like that's a lot of loyalty.
That is a heck of a lot of loyalty.
And you're much like Gideon making 2/2s. Like how quickly that can get out of hand. But these are like 2/2s with menace, which is even better.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's nowhere near as close to as good as Gideon.
No,
but I'm
Gideon
just
came
saying,
out
like,
of 4, like,
making a 2/2 every turn is good. Yeah, she doesn't attack as well, but.
No, she doesn't use that cutlass or anything, unfortunately. But
well, she swipes them.
yeah, she's done swipes them.
Which direction? Does she swipe right or does she swipe left?
No, I don't think she's I don't know how Tinder works. I'm sorry, guys.
I don't either. That's why I'm asking.
Don't know how it works. It's okay. all you cool kids that are still in the dating world, you tell us which swipe is good and which swipe is bad. Whatever the bad swipe is, that's what she does.
Any swipe that involves a rapier is a bad swipe.
Correct. Yep. But again, I like this card. I kind of want to play it on Friday at F&M in my sideboard. It just is like a one-of, just because who cares? Why not?
Yeah, why not?
It's F&M. I mean, it's Winnabox F&M. It's important, but who cares?
And still Fatal Push? Yeah. Still Fatal Push F&M.
One last time.
Pushes.
Teach us how to say goodbye?
Oh, man.
Yep.
Hey, ready for this? Soul of the Harvest.
Yeah, that's the card you're thinking of. But it's not actually that card. That card actually, whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield, you draw a card. So Regal Force is like, you just draw a bunch of cards.
Yeah, Regal Force is just...
But yeah, good.
You win.
Good, yeah.
And it was recently legal in the
M16.
The M16 welcome decks.
But they're leaving, I believe. So, but yeah, there's Ixalan across 2 weeks, which is the sane decision to make. I apologize for having to make that decision. I know you guys are kind of used to the big 3 to 4 hour long spectacle shows, but again. We can't. We just can't. We gotta remain sane.
We talked about more cards.
Exactly. Yeah, there are definitely like a lot of cards that we got to get to that we normally wouldn't have. So
like old growth dryads.
We got to insult that card and say it was garbage because
bird enchantment, whatever that thing was called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but overall, I think Ixalan seems like it's going to be pretty interesting. We obviously have a lot of very powerful decks that still exist within the format, and then so we may not have a whole lot of shaking up, but we may get a couple new decks, which is kind of exciting, and it's interesting. We have a standard tournament this weekend in Texas, and we have Worlds after that, and I believe that has a standard portion, if I'm not mistaken, of some persuasion.
Yeah, it's standard and draft.
Because we don't have the Pro Tour for a little bit for Ixalan, if not until November,
like another month, afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. So we might have some time for the format to breathe a little bit. I'm not sure how influential Worlds is going to be though. I don't know if that's just going to kind of take the lead of where the format is supposed to go or not. And maybe it does, and maybe we don't get that weird experimentation period sans a immediate Pro Tour that we are going to have later in Magic, but we'll see. In all honesty,
yeah, I would expect. I do think for sure Dinosaurs is going to be a tier 1 deck to come out of this set. As far as new cards and new influence coming into the standard format. I think we're still on kind of a wait and see for vampires, merfolk, and pirates. So, I hope to see other travel decks come out. I think if you just look at the best cards in the set, a lot of them seem to be dinosaurs, or at least in those colors. So, that's why I think the biggest impact's going to be, but. Yeah, hopefully some sweet pirates, We
can only hope.
But I think I'm with you on Worlds not being influential. I think this weekend at Star City, I believe Dallas, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
I think you'll see a lot of dinosaur decks. I think you'll see a lot of mono red, and I think you'll see a lot of Teamer energy. I think week 1, Dinosaurs is kind of like the coolest new thing to play, and then Mono Red and Teamer were kind of like the 2 holdover decks that were really good in the previous format. So I think it makes sense that that's where you're going to see a lot of. But never know. And then Worlds, I kind of expect to see maybe we'll see something sweet, but I think it's going to be kind of a lot of safe.
Safe
I don't think you're going to want to take a chance running some wacky stuff at Worlds with so much on the line.
That's probably true.
But at the same time, the players in that obviously have everything to play for. It's the biggest tournament of the year. If you are going to brew up something sweet and really just have something to crush the tournament, if it's like a glass cannon type deck, you would see it at Worlds, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess you could look at it a couple different ways there, but
and then we'll talk about the next week once we have the Star City Games results. and we'll shift over that and see what how we expect those to sort of influence what we see at Worlds, if any. But yeah, so that's the show. Before we depart, obviously we talked about Star City Games. The tournament's going to be it's Dallas. You think?
I'm pretty sure it's Dallas.
Yeah. BCW Supplies is going to be taking Team Metagame Gurus to Madness Games and Comics at their FNM for that week, so on the 29th of this month of September. And you can do a Challenger Guru event, and the first 30 challengers get a free pack of the new Elite Deck Guard sleeves. And again, if you haven't given them a shot or tried them out, please do. They are awesome and amazing sleeves that we would probably use whether not BCW Supplies sponsored us. I really do think that after all the sleeves that I've tried, I really, 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 really like these sleeves in complete and utter honesty. So definitely, if you are in the area, if you're in the Plano area, definitely go check them out. BCW Supplies, they really do like to get Team Metagame out there and do these Challenger Guru events, which are sweet. And I can't wait till our convention center is back up and running so they can come here again. And we'll be back next week, obviously, to talk about the results from Dallas. Until then, you can definitely check out our Facebook and our Twitter. Those are great ways to reach out to us, and it's just at your Instep or your Instep. Do searches for those on those respective websites, and you'll get to us. We also have Patreon, which is just patreon.com/@yourinstep. And that way you can, if you feel like it, contribute your hard-earned dollars to what we produce and get some sweet perks for doing so. Or email us if you want to reach out to us that way. It's just @yourinstep@gmail.com. Also, if you're downloading the show from iTunes, please feel free to give us a review. It really helps our visibility and allows us to get some new listeners through visibility. If you got us through MTGcast, feel free to check out some other shows on there. And really, there's everything you could ever want under the sun. If you are a Magic player or a Magic fan or whatever, it's there at MTGcast. That's going to be everything for us this week. You have a great one. Bye.